Greetings of peace and love, my people. It is Anna Renee, your love power goddess, on this very day, reading from Reuben Shamrani's book, Ancient Astrological Secrets of the Jews Revealed. And my people, peace and love and blessings to each and every one of you, especially to those of you who are Libra. The scales from September 24th through October 23rd. It is Libra time. Yes, and the ruling intelligence of this sign is Issachar, hesitation, doubt. Planetary ruler Venus, which is governed by the Sephira Haniel, peace, light, beauty, kindliness. Sybaritic, possibly sensual, self-indulgent. The Kabbalistic number is 6. The specific key qualities endowed are particularly emphasized by each of the signs' decanates are as follows. September 24th through October 2nd inclusive, strongly protective, highly emotional. October 3rd through the 13th inclusive, indolence, moodishness. October 14th through the 23rd inclusive, vacillation, sensuality, self-indulgence, excess. All right, and that's my rising sign. So I don't know, am I feeling excessive or moodishness or overly protective or highly emotional? Probably. Okay, Libra is yet another example of sharp conflict and contradiction between old and new systems of astrology. And yes, my people, as we know, we're going to roll with Brother Reuben, and let's see where he is driving us on Libra. The cardinal qualities modern astrologers attribute to Libra are balance, harmony, justice, and impartiality. Librans, they say, are moderators and mediators. The conciliators, conciliators and peacemakers of the universe, and certainly among the most benign, pleasant, amiable, and appealing creatures of the zodiac. Odd, is it not, that some of history's fiercest military men were Librans? Germany's Field Marshal Paul von Hindenburg, Britain's Admiral Horatio Nelson, and our own General Dwight Eisenhower are but 3 examples who spring to mind. The moderns forget, or conveniently ignore, the fact that while Venus is the planet that rules peace, Libra is the sign that governs war. Wow, I did not know that. Well. Wow, that's heavy. Thinking about myself right about now. Yes, okay. Come back. Then the popularizers contend that Librans are to be found in exceptionally large numbers in the ranks of lawyers, especially of trial and criminal lawyers. This, they argue, is because Libra is symbolic of justice, fairness, and mercy. What preposterous reasoning this is! Our system of justice is based on the adversary system. Any court case is a battle, one side against the other. Thus, the lawyers who engage in forensic battles can hardly be classified as men of peace and gentleness, harmony and serenity. They are the field commanders who lead the opposing forces in legal campaigns and clashes, many of which can be extremely harsh and violent, as headlines attest. But enough. Let us see where the moderns went wrong. Quite probably, the first mistake was made when medieval astrologers sought to interpret Old Testament allegories. In Genesis 49:14, Issachar is the symbol of Libra. Issachar is a strong ass crouching down between two burdens. Oh my God. Oh my God, my people, I'm sorry. Let me do that again. I wasn't expecting that. Oh, let's try that again. Get it together, Anna. Get it together. Whew. We just had that super moon, and I think the influences of it still in my system. Okay, start again. Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. Prompted by whatever motive, the untutored medieval interpreters equated the two burdens with the two balances of a scale, took the strong ass as a symbol of the scale itself. Crouching down, they guessed, must have meant that the ass, Issachar, was seeking to strike a balance between the two burdens. And so a pernicious myth was born. By contrast, Greek and Roman astrologers declared that it was the god Vulcan who corresponded to Libra. And Vulcan was the god of the forge, a lame god who forged the lightning bolts that were hurled toward earth. A god far from serene, tranquil, and peaceful. Indeed, Vulcan was irascible, an angry and ill-tempered god. Here the Greeks and Romans were carrying forward the Chaldean and Egyptian concept that held Omphah to be the guiding genius of Libra. Hebrew astrology, remaining pure through the ages, did not make the absurd changes in the character of the seventh zodiacal sign. It retained the original concept, improving upon it only to the extent justified by experience and observation. Therefore, the Libra of antiquity, of Kabbalah and Zohar, is infinitely more valid than the weird version fashioned by the charlatans of the Dark and Middle Ages and perpetrated by modern popularizers of astrology. Excuse me, my people. You, the individual. Time to take a new inventory of yourself, Libra. When you have, you'll find that you're a different person than the present-day popularizers of astrology claim and represent you to be. The ancients recognized that Libra is essentially an intellectual sign, but that the nature of those born under it is very often deeply emotional and romantic. Here we already see the first evidences of deep-seated conflict. When we look deeper, we observe many more. And if one takes the symbol of the scales in its correct meaning, then they must be considered as swinging freely, easily tipped this way or that. The factors that tip the scales are emotional, having to do with feeling or instinct rather than mind. Issachar, the strong ass crouching down between two burdens, represents a fundamentally strong intellect, but one which is restricted, held down by opposing influences and forces. Kabbalah and Zohar acknowledge that Libra is constantly subject to opposing forces, mind versus matter of emotion, especially romantic emotion and sexuality, a keen desire to amass wealth and possess luxuries versus a tendency to be indolent, unproductive, realism versus idealism. These are only some of the Libra dichotomies cited by the astrologers of antiquity. Torn by such conflicts, it is not difficult to understand why Librans appear to be seeking balance and harmony more avidly than do natives of many other signs. However, notwithstanding what the misguided moderns would like to spread as their gospel, seeking is by no means the same as creating or producing. There is much in Libra personality that serves to stir rather than calm situations, much that disrupts balance and disturbs harmony even though the evident Libran effort is to establish peace, equilibrium, and tranquility. Libra generals and admirals have always stoutly maintained that they waged their savage wars and battles solely to restore peace. Conventional astrologers sometimes paint themselves into a tight and rather embarrassing corner when analyzing Libra. For example, one nationally famous popularizer writes this about Libra personality. You have an extreme dread of friction. You crave harmony above all else. Then, a little later in the same analysis, the same astrologer, quote unquote, says, you Librans often explode rebelliously if you are confronted with a problem. Obviously, this self-appointed sage would be well advised to return to his studies and examine original source works more closely. The key to Libra personality is not that you 7-sign folks desire harmony, but that you want to have things go your way, which is what you call balance and harmony. Oh man. And Libra, you're quite capable of going to some very violent extremes to achieve your real end, that of having things your way. Indeed, your main struggle in life lies in resisting the temptation to swing wildly from one extreme to another. You are the one who needs to achieve balance and harmony within yourself by being more tolerant of conditions and circumstances and less demanding that all adhere to your concepts of what is right and good. Despite anything the popularizers claim, it's certainly less than accurate to characterize Librans as conciliators and mediators and credit them with being impartial and dispassionate. For many, probably most, Libra folk, mediation and conciliation consist of imposing their own ideas and values as solutions to disputes between others. These Librans are impartial and dispassionate only insofar as they try to apply their own standards to all situations and expect everyone to follow their Libra way. Hence, stop thinking of yourself as the perfect peacemaker and the judge who renders Solomon-like decisions, and some of your worst inner conflicts will resolve themselves. I love the way he is so blunt. I just really do. Accept yourself as you are, a highly intelligent, extremely charming, and rather self-oriented and self-indulgent person. That's it and that's all, pretty much, huh? There's not really much wrong with your particular sort of self-orientation and self-indulgence. For the most part, you manage these tendencies well, in the sense that you do not cause harm or hurt to others, at least not intentionally. Furthermore, you're kind and sympathetic, helpful and sociable, thoughtful and considerate, gracious and affectionate. Make the most of all your many positive qualities. Rid yourself of the illusion that you are the spirit of peace and harmony, and you will finally achieve your goals and fulfill your real and exciting Libra self. Make the most of mind power. The ancient Jewish scholars agree that Libra endows its natives with a high level of intelligence, but they say 7-sign emotional hypersensitivity and a tendency toward indolence and moodiness frequently acts as brakes on Libran mind power. You, Libra, are apt to prefer the easiest, least obstructed paths, even though they lead to only halfway goals. You don't want to be bothered by problems or to expend the extra effort and energy needed to surmount barriers, even if the rewards are infinitely greater. But at the same time, deep inside you, there's a driving urge to have the best and the most of everything. Wow, that's heavy. I feel like that even though I'm only a Libra rising. Libra's not my sun sign. Yeah, I'd be wanting some things, but then I don't feel like doing what you got to do to get those things. And so I tell myself, well, I don't really want those things after all. Maybe I'm telling myself lies. Anyway, how to reconcile these contradictory elements in your personality? The answer is simple enough. Do not remain crouching down between the two burdens of contradictory influences. Rely on your intellectual strength to break deadlocks, resolve the conflicts in favor of those burdens, which provide the most benefits for you. In order for Libra to be successful at any level, in any sphere of activity, mind must be given precedence over emotion. Intellectual strength must prevail over emotional weakness. These things can only be accomplished if you seventh sign people comprehend that most basic of all universal laws, that no person can have everything his or her own way all the time. Everyone must make allowances and concessions, accept the idea that one may be satisfied with less than the ideal without sacrificing ideals. Librans need to rid themselves of the preconceived notions regarding what constitutes satisfaction, gratification, and fulfillment in life. All too often, these are airy-fairy concepts based on the fallacy that whatever is immediately and at first glance pleasant and appealing is always and forever best, of greatest importance and value. In these connections, it might be well to digress and correct a very serious and very long-held misconception about the seventh sign. The symbol of the scales for this sign is a comparatively recent innovation. Yet another example of total misunderstanding and misinterpretation by astrologers of the Dark and Middle Ages. Kabbalah and Zohar, preserving the ancient knowledge of Chaldea and Egypt, show that in the Egyptian system, Libra was governed by the guiding genius of Umftha, O-M-P-H-T-H-A, Umftha. The symbol for Libra was a hieroglyph shaped like a T, with a line or bump protruding from the crossbar. This glyph stood for that precise moment of dawn when the first ray of the sun appeared over the horizon. Christian-era astrologers, knowing nothing about the language of Egypt, leaped to the arbitrary conclusion that the glyph represented a cross-beam scale. Oh, wow. What did the hieroglyph symbolize in Egyptian astrology? The Hebrew scholars explain that it represented beginnings filled with promise as symbolized by the sun's rays, but leaving outcomes for the span of the day to the decision and behavior of the individual. They who see the rise of the sun and will feel its warmth must themselves decide what they shall do in the span of time before it sets. Itzhak-Dromi comments. The hours may be spent in rich toil, richer thought, or the poverty of empty pleasures. Okay, I'm going to stop right there, and I'm not finished, but I just want to make a comment. This sort of symbolizes and sort of sums up the reason why I'm even reading this book, which is ancient Kabbalah of the Jews. And my people, I'm not Jewish. I'm African, okay? But the reason I'm reading this, okay, not because I think that Jewish symbology and systems are more correct than any African, okay? In case anybody might have wondered. Crossed my mind that people probably thinking, why in the world is she reading Kabbalah. I'm reading Kabbalah because they have borrowed from African, ancient African, okay? And they have borrowed it, even if they lied and claim it as theirs, they borrowed it and kept it intact as it was so many thousands of years ago, better than anybody else, okay? Or just as well, or in the best shape than anybody else. In fact, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that they didn't corrupt it. So theirs is closest, and they hold on to it a little closer to the correct way than anybody else in history. Or, you know what I'm trying to say? It's more correct to the truth of what it was back when it was first created by us, black ancient Egyptian people. Now, if Kabbalah claim that it's theirs, okay, well, who don't claim that what we Africans created is actually theirs? But I don't really care about that. I care about the correctness of it and the closeness as possible to the meaning, okay? And that's why I read it, okay? This is interesting to me, okay? Libra was governed by the guiding genius of Umpha. Now that's definitely a Greek word. I'm pretty sure that's Greek, okay? That word Umpha. And I could even, because I took medical terminology some years back, I can even try to figure out what that word means. Oomph, O-M-P-H, oomph. That word means something. I think it means navel. I'm not absolutely sure about that. But anyway, okay, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to look that up. Okay. The symbol for Libra was a hieroglyph shaped like a T with a line or bump protruding from the crossbar. Okay, yeah, we can get confused and think that represents a scale. This glyph stood for that precise moment of dawn when the first ray of the sun appeared over the horizon. Christian era astrologers, knowing nothing about the language of Egypt, leapt to the arbitrary conclusion that the glyph represented a cross-beam scale. Okay, what did the hieroglyph symbolize in Egyptian astrology? The Hebrew scholars explain it represented beginnings filled with promise as symbolized by the sun's rays, but leaving outcomes for the span of the day to the decision and behavior of the individual. That sounds so ancient Egyptian. I tell you what, when I think about that book I have, the Hosea, and when I think about the 42 laws of Ma'at, where we as the people, it's what we do. It's not, you know, it's how we conduct ourselves, which determines how we will be judged. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into all that right now. But that just sounds, like it. Leaving the outcome for the span of the day to the decision and behavior of the individual. You know, we have the full rights to do what's correct, okay? We are responsible for our own actions, okay? We don't need a savior to come from somewhere and save us when we have been wicked and evil. It's not that we were born in wickedness and evil, okay? It's we choose to do wickedness and evil. Anyway, let me not go off, okay? They who see the rise of the sun and will feel its warmth must themselves decide what they shall do in the span of time before it sets. Okay? The hours may be spent in rich toil, richer thought, or the poverty of empty pleasures. This not only resolves the unanswered questions raised by hopeless misreadings of Libra nature, but it succinctly states the dilemmas of that nature. For intellectual Librans, thought, mind power offers greater rewards than toil, which may be assumed to mean menial labor, But Libra will always be tempted to spend the hours in the pursuit of empty pleasures, which represent poverty. The admonitions are clear, Libra, and the choice is yours. Woo! Interacting with others. Well-aspected Librans are endowed with great and irresistible charm by their ruling planet Venus and its largely benign Sephira Haniel. You seventh sign folk are famed in astrological literature for your appealing, attractive personalities. Wow, and I was just talking about this kind of stuff being interesting. I don't know. What made me want to talk about that? That's a trip. You are magnetic, fascinating people. People find you to be a marvelous companion and excellent friend. You are persuasive, convincing, but unfortunately, you are not always consistent or sincere. There is a side of your nature that craves attention, admiration, and adulation. To obtain these, you Librans will often play to any and all galleries. You look for applause, and you're not always very particular how you get it, much less concerned about whether you earned it or not. In many instances, you tend to gauge people according to the degree of their willingness to let you have your way. Not infrequently, you fly into destructive rages when you feel that they have frustrated or thwarted you. Then, of course, Libran feelings and sensibilities are likely to be delicate and bruised very easily. Let someone's behavior fall short of the optimums established arbitrarily by self-oriented Libra, and Libra will first feel betrayed, then resentful, then horribly, inconsolably despondent. Such drawbacks of Libra personality are usually flaws hidden below the charming, delightful surface, but sooner or later they show themselves. These traits are hardly the sort to cement human relationships or lubricate the gears and levers of interaction with other people. Libra should understand that interaction implies mutuality, interchange, give and take. When seven sign natives grasp this, and many do, they have solved one of their major human relationship problems. Another is solved when they learn not to try and impose peace through war. There are many kinds of harmony, Libra, and yours isn't always the best and most desirable. Try not to foist or force your particular version on those around you. Be your warm, extremely hospitable and social self. Give your intellect a chance to attract and impress, to earn the admiration you seek, or, in short, make up your very fine mind that you're going to earn everything you expect and want from others. Determined to earn by giving sincerely of yourself. Romantic relationships. The ancients freely acknowledged the extremely sexual, sensual nature of Libra. This is a sign that very often cloaks its sexuality in romantic embroidery. Okay, let's see what he's getting ready to say. This is not to say that the Libra native derives no satisfaction or pleasure from romance and romantic love. Far from it. Librans revel in all the trappings and frills, but this does not change the underlying fact that it is really the sexual and sensual gratification they seek. Librans of both sexes are extremely susceptible to praise, adulation, and flattery. In most instances, they are perpetually searching for romantic interest and involvement. They are, in the words of one commentator, vivid in personality, outrageously adventurous in love. Most authorities agree that Libra endows a passionate nature and that people born under this sign are usually sexual experimenters. The Libra male is often a seducer on a large scale, taking each conquest as the sincerest form of the admiration and adulation he craves. Females of the species tend to be somewhat materialistic. They crave tangible earnests as well as sweet words. They want expensive dinners in exclusive restaurants, flowers, gloves, even furs and diamonds from their lovers. Wow, that sounds good to me anyway. These, they feel, are concrete proofs that he really loves and adores. Libra partners inclined to be willful, wanting, as in other situations, things to go their way. When they do, this is harmony for Libra. When they do not, the average 7th sign native is inclined to consider the situation to be discordant, dissonant, and inharmonious. Then the fun usually begins as Libra takes the offensive to restore peace and equilibrium to the relationship. This guy is too funny to me. Our contemporary astrologers claim that Libra rules marriage as opposed to the ancients who emphasized that the sign rules war. The theories, but my goodness, wait a minute. Marriage is war. Anyway, the theories of the moderns would certainly seem to be disproven by divorce court statistics, which show that Librans are very close to the top in, oh my God, in the proportion of broken marriages. Oh my God. They also rank very high in providing the correspondence in other people's divorce cases. How did he know this? Anyway. Libra males are hardly the best of husbands. Their extreme vulnerability to any form of flattery causes them to be philanderers. They also have a great love of comfort and luxury, and are therefore apt to treat wives more as servants than as human beings. Then, of course, they incline to be self-indulgent and will sometimes drink to excess. The Libra female frequently marries for gain, to have a fine home, expensive clothing, furs, and jewelry. On one hand, she will make a great show of romantic love to her husband. On the other, she may not be able to resist the admiration of other men she meets. It's not unknown for a Libra female to have endless series of extramarital affairs, almost from the moment she says "I do" to her husband. Wow, that's heavy. Ancient astrology advises Librans of both sexes to exercise restraint and, above all, to use their brains and let their heads exercise control over their emotions if they hope to have happy and lasting romantic or marital relationships. Mastery in the material sphere. Libra love of wealth and possessions of a comfortable, even luxurious existence gives most its natives a very strong success drive. People of this sign do very well in fields of endeavor in which charm and attractive personality are important factors. Therefore, they are among the best and most efficient salespeople, merchandisers, account executives. They are also likely to excel in occupations connected with the design, manufacture, and sale of high fashion clothing, furs, jewelry. They are excellent interior decorators and art and antique dealers. But there is a very tough practical side to Libra. When natives have learned to give their intellect the governing role in their lives, they achieve great financial success in the professions, and indeed in most commercial and industrial areas. Details by decanates. First decan, September 24th through October 2nd. Rulership of this decanate by the moon endows natives with a particularly emotional nature. Individuals born during this period are marked by intensity of feeling, and they will usually be even more inclined to have numerous love affairs than other Libra natives. However, it must be said for them that they will also be extremely protective toward the person who is the object of their affections. Second decan, October 3rd through the 13th. Saturn, governing the decan, imparts certain qualities which prove to be obstacles hindering Libra progress and success. Tendencies toward indolence and moodiness are usually the most pronounced. In general, it might be said that the Saturnian influence lessens or dampens Libra ambition and drive. Third decan, October 14th through the 23rd. The dominion of Jupiter over this decan could be expected to have benign influence. However, it clashes with other planetary configurations and unfortunately has the opposite effect. Third decan Librans may be indecisive, vacillating. They are very often sensualists, sybarites to an extreme that drains much of their energies and debilitates their other and constructive drives. It is in this period that we are most apt to find the Libran given to self-indulgence and excess. Alright, my people, and that is our brother Reuben Shamrani's Ancient Astrological Secrets of the Jews Revealed. Yeah, that one had me go off on a couple of tangents. But yes, very informative. My eyes have been open in terms of the sign, the sign of the scales that are being represented for Libra right now, when that's not what was originally meant. A huge misinterpretation, and lots of Libras have based themselves on that balance scale and believe that's what it all means. And not to say that it doesn't have some parts in it, but I tend to believe what he was talking about in terms of the ancient Egyptian reckoning of that sign and what it represents as the sign of Umpha, a T with a little ray sticking up, representing the beginning and leaving the fullness to the person, the Libra themselves, to fashion as they will based on doing what's correct for themselves. I like that representation much better. Okay, but anyway, my people, that is the sign of Libra.